Hello everybody, this is SodaFan2K10 here, welcoming you to another Wooden Railway Custom Spotlight, and today we have one of my personal favourites. This is Bradford the Brake van. Bradford is a character that was introduced in Series 20 of Thomas and Friends, in the episode fittingly titled Bradford the Brake van, where he came across to Sodor with Samson, and he helped out Thomas when he noticed that the engine was having trouble with his troublesome trucks. And he proved to be really useful at keeping trucks in order. However, he later proved that he is just as strict with engines as he is with trucks, because he wouldn't let the engines do anything if it broke even the smallest regulation in the rulebook. And he quickly became less than popular with the other engines after causing so many delays. But I tell you what, he has remained very popular with me. I love Bradford. I think he's one of the best characters introduced in the show. Not just in the CGI series, but in the show in general. He's a very different character. He's a very different personality-wise. You know, some may say he's close to Fergus with his rules and what have you, but I don't. I think he's a lot more different than Fergus, and a lot more fun, personally. I think Bradford is a brilliant character, and one of the best they've ever introduced. He's not your traditional happy-go-lucky character. He has a bit more of personality to him, which I really like. And I just wish, as with many other characters, I wish we would have gotten a lot more screen time of him. But I'm grateful for what we got, and I knew straight away after watching the episode that I had to make my own custom of him, because for whatever reason, Mattel, like many other characters, never made Bradford. So it came down to us, as fans of the show, to step in and make our own. And I've had the idea to make Bradford for a very long time, but the reason it took me so long was because I had trouble sourcing the model that I wanted to use. So if you haven't quite worked it out yet, I'll put you at ease. Here is the model that I used. It's a Henrietta model. And a lot of people have used either Henrietta or the NW Brake van to make Bradford, and that's because they share the same body as each other. But I went with Henrietta just because the NW Brake van has a face on the front, and when you remove that face, it leaves like a hole behind. So that's why I went with Henrietta, just to make the process a little bit easier, so I didn't have to remove another face. But the other thing is that Henrietta is slightly more common than the NW Brake van. But I say that, but I had trouble finding a second one. I bought this one back in, I think, 2020. And it wasn't until late 2021 when I managed to find a second. And they're not exactly rare. I see them pop up on eBay a lot, but they, for whatever reason, go for a lot. They're usually quite expensive, but I was lucky enough to finally find one that was relatively inexpensive and in semi-decent condition. I don't usually like to take, really nice looking models like this one and repaint them and what have you. I try to go with ones that are a bit more like edgeware, worn, what have you. So, yeah, finally I managed to find a second one, and that's what allowed me to make this custom. So, how exactly did I go about making it, Bradford? Well, the first thing I did, I knew what face I wanted to use. A lot of people use the Reg face. I don't even own Reg, and I've never even seen him sold anywhere in the UK, so I knew that was out of the question. I did think about using the take-along or take-and-play version of Reg, but I had trouble even finding that version. So I had to come up with something different. And I found, and I'm going to just move Bradford over here for just a minute. Oops, he's rolling away from us. There we go. I found a Gator model. Well, I didn't find a Gator model. When I was looking for the pack members, I was looking for Nelson at one point, and I finally managed to find one, and it came with a Gator and a 2013 Toby. And I haven't done anything with that 2013 Toby yet, but I looked at Gator, and I just looked at the face, and I thought, you know what, that will actually do pretty well for Bradford. It's got the right shape, the face looks just fine, so I decided to roll with it. And this is the first time that I had to, how do you say, massacre a Thomas Wooden Railway model for a custom. I've taken apart models of off-brand Wooden Railway items before, but never for a Thomas Wooden Railway one, so I apologise if you don't like seeing this. Usually what I do to get the face off, though, is I just take a screwdriver and wedge it behind the face, and it usually just pops off. That's what I did for Frankie, Hurricane, Rex, and Buster's faces, my custom ones. But with Gator, it just wasn't happening, and I was afraid I was going to snap it, so I had to take a hacksaw right through this bit of plastic here, and then this little piece came off, and it revealed beneath, you see that bit of white? That is the remnants of the face of Gator's face. It's well embedded into the model. So once I got the saw through that, the whole thing just popped off. And I had to do a little bit of filing on the back of the face to get it sitting a bit more flush on the model. But yeah, that's where the face came from at the very least. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I am on the lookout for a bogeyed chassis for a future custom, so maybe I'll use this for even more spare parts for that. But we'll see. So that is the face, and like I said, I knew straight away after getting that Gator model that I wanted to use this face, but I didn't realise that it's not quite tall enough. It's taller than this part on Henrietta. I thought it was going to fit perfectly on there, but it's a little bit bigger. So I had to add a little piece of wood right behind it to try and fill that gap. And I knew straight away I needed to add these supports as well on the corners, because that's what Bradford has. So I knew I had to add those. But I had to add extra little pieces of wood just to make up for the size difference. But I actually really like how that looks after it was done, because if I can show it just correctly, you can see that it has like a little bit of a dip now behind his face, and that to me looks like the veranda of Bradford's basis. So I'm really happy with how that looks, especially since it gives a different shape, a different look to the model, so you don't look at these two and immediately think that they're the same. So I'm really happy with how that looks. I had to do it on both sides as well, so it really wasn't that tricky. I did have to use the very small pieces of wood, so I had to use like tweezers to put them into place. I'm not sure why it's not focusing anymore. Hopefully it will, but there we go. So yeah, I had to just add those, and it gives this a bit of a different shape. Also on the front, you'll notice on these ones, I've added his lamps. And these are just small pieces of wood that are coloured in silver with a Sharpie, and then a little dot of red for the light. And I know immediately it doesn't look, correct that Bradford's face is where the lights are. You would think, these are the brake lights, so they will be on the back of Bradford. But that's just how he is. For whatever reason, he's not like Toad, where, he faces backwards and travels, the train would be here and he travels that way. Bradford usually is seen facing forward, apart from his very first instance, where he's coupled behind Samson. Samson. So yeah, that's just how it is. So that's why I put the face that end. And I did, the face isn't actually attached permanently. It's only held by a bit of blue tack, in case I want to have him this way to face him backwards. But yeah, so I have that option, but for the most part I'm probably just going to keep it like this. Let's have a look at the side of him now. Apart from that, it was mainly just a simple repaint. Just painted it all green. It's a little bit darker shade of a green than Bradford is, but I quite like it. I would prefer it to be like 100% match, but I just went with what I had on hand at the time, and I think it turned out quite nice. The red stripe, this is the first time that I decided to use masking tape on a model, and it worked out pretty well, because I knew that I wanted, this line to be as straight as possible. I didn't take as much care as I probably should have, because when I peeled away the tape, it wasn't quite down all the way, so you can notice this end is a little bit thinner than this end. It just took a little bit of paint with it. but that's perfectly fine. I'm not upset about that. There's the back. I probably could have put something there, but I just didn't. I just wanted to keep this a little bit more simple. And there's the other side, also his number, which is 0919. I'm not sure if that's a reference to his real-life basis or anything, but he has it, and that's just done with a gold Sharpie as well. And also the ladder detail that he's got. I didn't want to use masking tape for this. I admit I was a little bit lazy with this, but I thought I could get away with freehanding it, and I did for the most part. I mean, this one's pretty okay. This one's a mess, I'll admit. So that's definitely something that I could improve upon. But apart from that, the only other thing that I did was add these. I'm not entirely sure what they are. I think they're like observation windows or something for the guard. I'm not entirely sure, but they're just something that this basis of brake van that Bradford is based upon has. And they're very simple. They're just pieces of card, just thin card that I cut out and bent into shape and painted and glued on. And they are a little bit darker than the rest of Bradford. It's actually the same shade of green that I used for the ladders. And then the last thing I did was paint the roof. And I don't know why, but I haven't dropped Bradford or anything, but the roof is already starting to fade away a little bit, so I might have to redo that one day. But it's not too bad, and I can live with it for now. So that there is Bradford the Brake van. I'm really happy with how this custom turned out. I'm really happy to finally have Bradford. And you have to know I've already written several episodes about Bradford, and I can't wait to hopefully one day get around to making them. Because like I said, he's one of my favourite characters, and I really want to feature him in my series one day. When that day comes, who knows, but we'll get there when we get there. So, that there is Bradford the Brake van, one of my personal favourite customs that I have made. Let me know what you think of him down in the comments below as usual, and I will see you all next time for another Wooden Railway Custom Spotlight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all then.